So if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. That's a hate group. And I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the black people. Just get them away. Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no fixing this. This can't be fixed.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the past few years, we have heard from the individuals I call the For the People community about how much they do not like their white counterparts or compatriots or fellow individuals who live in the neighborhood. And we've heard some individuals talk about how they want to uproot and get away from those white people because of supremacy, because of racial tensions, because of stupid incidents that take place.
Saying that it doesn't sit right with me that there are white people who own property, multiple properties at that, in the United States of America, while black and indigenous people are experiencing homelessness. There will never be black liberation or indigenous sovereignty as long as the United States of America exists. If you want black folks around the globe and in this country liberated, if you want indigenous folks to be able to have sovereignty over the lands that they're indigenous to, then the United States of America needs to cease to exist. And I don't know if y'all are ready for that. I don't know if that's what y'all signed up for.
This might be a controversial take, but I'm seeing a lot of queer white people posting shit like posting themselves being really happy and doing some random shit and being like, yeah, our joy is resistance. And like, in my opinion, white people's joy is not resistance. Like, queer or not, your joy is not resistance. Matter of fact, your joy is what got us here in the first place. Like, your joy is why we're having to resist. And like, y'all putting yourselves and finding yourselves and like your own joy in front of everybody else is what got us here.
Okay, this isn't like full shade towards you. I just see a lot of comments like this, and this was the most recent one, so I'm just responding to this one. When white people say shit like this, it isn't the serve they think it is. Like, you're a part of the problem, fix your people, bro. Like, when white people are like, I'm white and white people do suck. Yeah, you're probably a part of those said white people, so do something about it. The fuck? Also, I hate when white people try to validate me. Like, they're literally like, I'm white, but I agree. Bro, I don't know if you noticed, but I don't need validation from white people. Like, that's the last thing I need in my life. Like, I feel like white people always try, but they miss. Like... And I feel bad for y'all. Not that bad, though, because your ancestors suck and you're stinky and evil. But bad enough where I want to call you out and tell you not to leave comments like this because it's crusty. Anyways, for all the bleach demons willing to learn, I see you. You're not as bad as the rest.
And you know what? I've softened on my opinion about this. If you hate a group of people so much and you have the means to get away from them, go ahead, get away from them. Go to where you are loved. Go to where there are people who look like you. If you want to live in that type of hug box, fine. I just have one criteria. Don't, and I do mean do not, get mad when they do it to you. Case in point, wealthy white folks take this drastic measure to get away from black neighbors. For the last decade, a group of affluent white residents of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, have been fighting to break off from the predominantly black city to create their own incorporated city. On Friday, the Louisiana Supreme Court granted their wish. The state Supreme Court is allowing plans to move forward for the creation of the new city called St. George. The community will be the first new incorporated city in Louisiana over the last 2 decades. Leaders of the movement to create St. George celebrated the decision last week. This is the culmination of citizens exercising their constitutional right. Andrew Morrell, confusing name, one of the movement's leaders, said in a statement obtained by the New York Times, "Now we begin the process of delivering on our promises of a better city." However, critics of the plan have argued that this is a thinly veiled attempt from the wealthy white residents of Baton Rouge and its suburbs to separate themselves from the predominantly black and less wealthy residents of the city. They argued that the new city will divert roughly $48 million in taxes of revenue away from Baton Rouge. Rouge, the local chapter of the NAACP raised serious concerns about the new city's impact on black residents of Baton Rouge. The St. George plan poses significant risk to our education system, threatens the continuity of critical programs, and challenges community representation, wrote the chapter in a statement. The creation of the new municipality introduces considerable uncertainty around funding allocation for our schools, jeopardizing our cornerstones of the community's future, education. And on social media, you had a bunch of people complain.
Dear white girl like me in Baton Rouge, the city of St. George is not about schools. It is not. It is redlining with a different name. It is not about giving the kids in South Baton Rouge better education. It is about a group of predominantly white, wealthy people in South Baton Rouge who are angry that they have to share their resources with the poorer, lower property tax base in North Baton Rouge. And so for the last 14 years, they have been trying to get, first they started trying to get their own school district. And then now, because they were told no to that, it's getting the new city. And they're like, well, if more than half of the people want it, they want it. And so 54% in 2019 did vote yes, but then a court struck it down. And now the Louisiana Supreme Court has said, you know what? We're cool with redlining. We're cool with it. We're not gonna call it that. Don't call it that though. St. George.
And you know what? Maybe in a vacuum, these are some accurate concerns. You have to worry about funding. You have to worry about where the funding is going to go. You have to worry about moving people from one specific area to this specific area. You have to worry about all these different things. But I will sit here and say that is the risk you run when you want to get away from a group of people. Now, as of me recording this, I don't really know the reasons why these individuals want to create their own safe haven away from people. I would like to guess that the editor in me is going to find the reasons and put them on the screen for you so that you can see the reasonings behind this.
Citizens voted. We won a lawful election that was not challenged, and now over 4 years later, we're finally done, and we win.
Breaking first at 4, the city of St. George claims victory at the Louisiana Supreme Court. The city officially breaking away from Baton Rouge with the court's ruling and now turning toward putting a government in place. Organizers have fought more than a decade to make St. George a reality. Today, organizers behind the incorporation effort are celebrating.
We had two goals: better city, better parish, and now we move forward in that process. We're hopeful that the leadership of East Baton Rouge Parish will now say this matter has been concluded and that we can begin the process of working to move forward and accomplish those goals and work together.
Meanwhile, you, the homeowners in the city of Baton Rouge, are asking what exactly the loss of tax revenue in the new city of St. George will mean for your pockets. Our team pressed the mayor on her plan to fill the empty hole in the budget, a plan her administration has had years to put in place. She says they're looking at multiple possibilities on potential cuts, but she says it's too early for her to share those details with the public.
We have thought of different ways if this ruling were to take place, the percentages, the impact that it would have on the budget, what potential cuts would have to be made. But I'm going to reserve crunching numbers in front of you at this time.
Organizers behind the city of St. George say Governor Landry will now appoint a temporary government until the first election for the city of St. George can take place. Those organizers are planning an official celebration for Monday.
And ultimately, if it comes down to people tired of living in a city where they're not being treated fairly, their tax dollars are being spent on things that they don't agree with, let them get out of here. Let them leave. Let them do their thing. As long as they don't get mad if a bunch of black people decide we don't want to live under these policies of Baton Rouge, this predominantly black city. We don't want to live under all this scrutiny. Let's make our own city. And they go through a decade of trying to get this done. And you can't even really say, oh, these white supremacists got what they wanted, because it took a fucking decade for this. So I struggle to understand how them being white or them having this supremacy led to this decision so quickly. Honestly, I'm all for it. I'm all for it because it leads to what everybody seemingly wants from the black community. They don't want to be around white people. They want to get away from them. They don't want to see them. They don't want to hang around them. You getting what you want in a small dose, and maybe, just maybe, more people will start doing things like this, where they'll galvanize all their friends who also have money, and they'll go to the Supreme Court, and they'll say, hey, we don't want to be around all this. We want our own city. And maybe after 10, 20, 30 years and a bunch of people die off and you don't have the same support as you once did once you started, you can have your own city. Let me know. Are you in agreement with this? Are you against it? Do you think it's shameful? Would you be mad if a bunch of black people did it? Would you find it a form of wokeism if black people wanted to start their own version of Wakanda in America? Would you be mad, or would you find it funny if one of the proponents of this would be somebody by the name of Tiffany Henyard, who has been having a very terrible go of it as of late? And let me know all your thoughts about it in the comments down below. I will see you in the next one. Subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.